Hi there, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Sherry Rothwell, and I help women lose weight without dieting. So on today's webinar, I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of different ways that you can lose weight that have actually nothing to do with food. So you might be right now thinking that the only way to lose weight is to go on a diet. That's all you've ever been exposed to. And that is very typical in our society, that people have zero idea of how to actually attain and maintain their ideal weight without actually going on a diet, doing something that's unnatural to themselves, and goes against the very nature of ourselves as humans. So again, my name is Sherry Rothwell, and I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and GAPS practitioner, which basically means I'm an expert in gut health. And that's actually one of the root causes of people not being able to lose weight, is having inflammation in their body. So this previous experience that I've had in gut health has really served me well, and actually given me a lot of the insight required to help people lose weight. Because in the past, when I would work with people with gut health, they would just magically lose weight, right? Even though that wasn't what we were focusing on. So that's the foundation actually of my work as a holistic nutritionist. I'm also a former instructor at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, where I taught for 4 years. And I help women lose weight without actually giving up those rich, creamy, sweet comfort foods they love. And that's a major thing, right? Because if the diet that you are on is not more pleasurable than the diet you used to eat or you're used to eating, then you're naturally just going to go back to your old ways because that's more compelling. So anything that you do to lose weight has to be something that calls you forward into having the actual desire to do the thing that is good for your body, that's right for your body. It has to be something that feels good. It can't be deprivation. And I also take an inside out approach to weight loss. So what that means is we look within, not just on the aspect of physiology, but like what's the invisible imbalances that are going on inside of your body, but also what is going on inside of you. What kind of inner work do you need to do in order to let the physical weight go? That is a representation of your emotional weight. Okay, so the women who work with me, they lose more than just the physical weight, but they drop what's draining them and take a load off their shoulders too. So that's the important thing to understand, that a holistic approach to weight loss is not just about food. It's about your whole entire life. Everything that's in your life is either supporting you to attain and maintain your ideal weight. All right, so you're in the right place if you're a deep woman and you want to become the best version of yourself possible. You're done with dieting, but you still want to let go of the extra weight. You want to use your weight loss journey as a catalyst for up-leveling your health and your life. This is something that is so important, because if the journey that you take to lose weight is something that doesn't in any way transform you, there's no way you're going to actually stick with what you did to lose weight in order to maintain it. And you have to be a deep woman to get the value out of doing this work. If you're somebody who just wants to sit on the surface and you're not attracted to the idea of doing deep level work, then this is definitely not for you. Okay, so is this you right now? Were you just about to give up on dieting? Almost, until you found this webinar and you thought, I'll give it one last shot. If there's a way that I could actually lose weight without dieting and without being part of this dieting culture, then I would do it. And then you found me. That is an amazing sign that you're in the right place. It's a synchronicity, right, that drew you here to tell you, like, there is an answer. You don't have to give up and just settle, or sit in that place of futility believing that you've done everything and there's nothing more you can do. Are you seeking the truth about what it really takes to lose the weight permanently, right? It's a deep question, because a lot of people are not seeking the truth. They're not genuinely seeking the truth. They're actually genuinely seeking a quick fix and a magic pill, all things that are like lies we're sold, that get us all excited, but actually don't transform us in any way. are you tired right now of just not being that best version of yourself and you want to up level your whole life? Okay, so maybe you're thinking like you want to take your health to the next level, your beauty, the way you show up in the world, and your energy to the next level. Okay. And maybe secretly you want to actually lose weight because it's bikini season's around the corner, you have a date coming up, or a wedding, grad reunion, or some other upcoming event where you just really don't want to be seen in a way that is less than a reflection of who you are on the inside, right? It's basically our weight reflects what we're carrying, and not just that physical weight. It's not just that physical like fat. It's all of it, right? And we have this vision in our life of wanting to be our best selves, and we want to be seen as our best selves and show up in that way. And sometimes those little events, right, can be that motivation that gets you to get started. And then once you get that momentum, it helps you to keep going. So there's no shame in that, but a lot of people are secretive about that, especially people that are attracted to this type of approach, right? Because you're a deep person and you don't want to be associated with fad diets and like, you know, all these like reasons to make yourself look good for superficial reasons to get approval. And that's the conscious feeling that we have about it. But the truth is that we actually are all approval seekers, right? Like that's just the reality of it. It's something primal. If we weren't accepted by our tribe, then we actually get kicked out of the tribe, right? And then it's dangerous for us. So we have this human approval seeking thing going on inside, and it's natural and it's normal. It's not always productive, right? But it's there. So instead of actually like making it wrong and bad, you can actually go, okay, that's my ego. And but I'm going to actually use it to my advantage in this case to get me motivated to get started. Okay. On the other side of it, some people actually have the other thing going on where their friends or family will actually oust them or give them disapproval for wanting to up level themselves and be the best version of themselves. Have you ever experienced that before, where maybe people don't want to see you become the best version of yourself? They actually get triggered by it. Like if you up level your life in some way, raise your standards, have boundaries, etc. They don't like it, right? They don't want you to change. So, you know, it can play in both ways, and both of those will impact your ability to lose weight. And this is some examples of the inner work that needs to be done to literally, you know, find that reason that's not based on external approval, but your internal reason for wanting to do this that has more depth than just the superficial reasons, or just to maintain that approval or to avoid disapproval of the people around you. Okay, so I don't want to go into like my whole story, but I'm just going to share with you some of the things that I've gone through really quickly so that you just understand that I understand. Like I've been there. It's not like I've always been thin and I'm, you know, just like have perfect willpower and self-discipline and it's always been easy for me. Okay. Because a lot of the people that are out there as diet gurus present themselves in that way. They have always loved working out. They've always been thin. And they're control freaks and they have no problem forcing themselves to count calories and all this kind of thing, right? So I'm not that person. And if you're here, you're probably not that person either. So you probably can more relate to maybe some of the things that I've gone through. So I'm just gonna, my screen, nope, won't let me move anything. Okay, so anyways, I have been a binger, emotional eater, and I say recovering carb addict because one of the things that people don't understand about sugar and carbohydrates is that when you have certain underlying health imbalances or certain patterns that you set up from childhood, it's like any other addiction, right? Like it's not like, you know, like say for example, an alcoholic knows that if they want to not be an alcoholic, they actually have to not store alcohol in their house and decide that they don't drink, right? Like that's just it. There's no like a little bit of alcohol here and a little there and like just, you know, one bottle in the cupboard kind of thing. It has to be the same thing when you're a carbohydrate addict, right? Like you can't have sugar in your house or start having some sugar in, you know, whatever the, you know, your work or whatever, because you just know this from experience, it will actually trigger a binging cycle. This is if you're an addict. That's how you know, right? Some people, don't actually have that tendency. There's other reasons why they struggle with their weight. But for me, I was a binger as a teenager. And so now I have so many like tools and strategies to get myself back on track. But if I do actually start eating something that is like has actual real sugar in it, like for example, just recently I had some maple fudge. Okay. And oh my God, like I just wanted to like a few pieces are not okay. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to finish that entire box. Like, and it's just like so crazy. It's this like crazy thing. So I have that still, right? Like I still have that, but yet here I am. You can see in my before and after picture, have dropped 12 dress sizes and can maintain this weight, even though I still have that tendency. And it's because of the knowledge that I have and the skills that I have around understanding the physiology of how the body works. So I know exactly what to do to get back on the horse very quickly. Okay, it's not a mystery to me. If I go off track like that, it's not going to be 3 to 6 or 9 months later when I force myself to get back on a diet that I do anything about it. It's going to be a day later or maybe 3 days later. Okay? Or maybe if it's my period, a week later. But the point is that this is not about being perfect. You can be imperfect and not have every single thing in your life healed, and you can still get these results. Okay. So in the before picture, I was 176 pounds. Okay. In the after picture, I'm like 135 pounds. Okay. 12 dress sizes. And I still eat rich, creamy, sweet comfort foods. I'm not eating like a purist. And I'm still, having days like that where I, will actually have something. Of course, I don't keep that in my house, right? Like that's not I would never keep those maple fudge in my house. Like, give me a break. That would just be ridiculous. But things aren't perfect, still got the results. And that can be the same thing for you. Okay? You just have a lot of things to learn, some skills. And that's one of the things that's missing from most people's approach to losing weight is they have a pattern set up. The pattern is I screw up from the diet and then I feast for weeks or months until I feel so disgusting that I hate myself. And then I start another diet, right? Like I'm being realistic here. I know this mentality. I've absolutely lived this before. Okay. So I've dieted, I've lost weight, I've gained it back, and then I've gained more back. I've done Weight Watchers. When I was a kid, I starved myself, like as a teenager, like regularly. I've, for example, starved myself to lose weight for my grad, just to gain it all back within a few weeks after the grad. And after having my second child, I actually fasted on pretty much just water and a few tablespoons of maple syrup. So it added up to be about 250 calories a day, and lemon juice for 11 days. And I didn't lose 1 single pound. Okay. Which is a perfect example of why calories are not the answer to weight loss. That was a restriction of calories. By anybody's mathematical equation, there should have been weight loss there. But the body doesn't respond that way to calories the way we think it does. And of course, you want to continue to learn with me, and I'll teach you everything you need to know about that. So you stop being brainwashed by these ridiculous ideas like that counting calories are the answer to losing weight. 11 days, no food, and doesn't lose a pound. Okay, example, body fights back because it's actually hormones that are responsible for whether we gain or lose weight, not calories. So when that happened after having the babies and just not being able to lose that weight, I had about an extra 20 pounds on my body after having children. So about my average weight was 155 pounds, and I'm 5'3" 3/4". So that is overweight. I put the idea of actually losing that weight on the shelf for like a decade. I just kind of accepted, like, I guess this is my fate after becoming a mother. I don't get to lose that weight. This is my new body. And I was like, whatever. I've got more in life to concern myself with. I'm not going to go to the gym. I don't care that much about how I look, that I'm going to invest time and energy in that. I'm going to invest my time and energy in my family, in my health, and in my passions in life. But when I turned 36, in under 2 months, I suddenly gained another 20 pounds, 21 pounds in less than 2 months. Like, I don't even know. It could have been 1 month. It just took me 2 months to notice, right? Because I was so disconnected from my body, so up in my head, that I didn't even notice I was gaining weight. I literally thought, like, I went to a hotel in Vegas because I was at a video marketing event. I walked past the mirror, and what I saw in the mirror was somebody who was literally obese, 176 pounds, 5'3", 3/4, not even 5'4". And I thought I just looked bloated. I never for a second even thought I gained weight. Like, that's how disconnected I was from my body. I just thought, whoa, this hotel food must be terrible because, boy, I look bloated. That's how not into my body I was. And that's part of the issue, right? Is like literally not being embodying our body. All right, so I'm going to share with you how to lose weight without dieting in this training. Most of you, I'm going to be threading in things about the physical, the physiology. You heard me talk about calories versus hormones already. I'm going to thread that in wherever I can. But I want to talk to you about the things that you're not going to get from other programs, from other approaches. I want to make sure that you understand that there's so much more to this than just focusing on food. Okay? So we're going to look at a holistic approach to weight loss. We're going to look at the mind, the body, the soul, and the science. So that's where you're going to get a little bit of the physiology as well. And that's essentially what it takes, right? Because you are more than just a physical body. So the root cause of the problem of not being able to lose your weight, the extra weight, and maintain it is more than just the physical. It's more than just what you're putting into it on a physical level as food. We're also going to talk about 4 principles of permanent weight loss. So these are like essentials that need to be put in place permanently if you want to attain your ideal weight and maintain it for the rest of your life. We're going to talk about how to drop the diet mentality and lose weight without dieting. The mentality is what actually has to be dropped in order for you to do this. If your head is stuck in this mentality, you're not going to absorb the information. And that's why my approach, the Delish on Diet School, is to literally unbrainwash you. Because like, I've seen this happen multiple times. I've had people that I've like taught for a long time. They've been students of mine and then clients of mine. And then like literally, I don't know, I talk to them like a year later and they're actually saying to me things that tell me that they don't understand what is actually the cause of weight gain. Okay. And it's not that they weren't told. It's not that it wasn't taught to them. The problem is that we're so brainwashed into this diet mentality that even if we hear the truth, we block it. And we've been so wired up, like we have pathways in our brain that are so wired up to believe this one thing. So here's an example. So I have this one client who's telling me her problem is like she's doing things like this. She says, for example, that she's going to the movie theater and she's having popcorn with all this butter on it. She's thinking that the butter is the problem. The butter, all this fat is causing her to be fat. That is not the cause of weight gain, because it's not about the calories. It's not about that the popcorn has this much calories and the fat has this much calories. It's about the effect of butter or fat on your hormones versus something like popcorn, which is a carbohydrate, on your hormones. So what actually causes a person to gain weight eating butter and popcorn is the popcorn, not the butter. Okay, so these are things that are so important to get initially, but then literally keep learning about in multiple ways, because it's so easy to just revert back to that old thinking, which physiologically is not the truth. This is science. Okay. it's why this exists. This is why the Delish Undiet School exists. It's to literally deprogram your mind from doing the wrong things. It's like thinking you're doing all the right things and not getting results, but what you're actually doing is all the wrong things. And that's why you're getting the wrong results. Okay. So yes, in the Delish Undiet School, I do teach you the specific things you need to know about weight loss that are, a part of the physical, because that's a very physical thing. So, rest assured that when this is over, I'm not just going to leave you hanging. There are ways to continue to learn so that you know that you're actually doing the right things, along with all of this other important stuff that addresses your whole life, not just the body. Okay, so I'm going to help unbrainwash you of these half-truths and outright lies that basically keep you dieting but never losing weight permanently. You have to ask yourself if all of the things that the mainstream conventional medicine, education, fitness culture, dieting culture tells us is true, then why are 97% of people failing to lose weight despite their good intentions? It's not because they're undisciplined. It's not because they lack willpower. It's because they're being told to focus their attention on the wrong things that are not the cause of weight gain and are actually the exact opposite of what they need to be doing, which is like, it's outrageous. It enrages me. It's like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. So if that sounds extreme, just look at the results. If you're following along with what they tell you to do, are you getting the results? Now, here's where it gets sticky for people, is temporarily people get results, right, with any diet. But this is the problem. Diets are designed for temporary results. But people are going on diets not to get temporary results. So if the purpose of you going on a diet is to lose weight, but the diet was designed for temporary results, then of course you're not going to get results permanently. So there's zero logic in it whatsoever. So diets don't work. Even if they work temporarily, there's a huge rebound effect that makes sure that they don't work for permanent weight loss. So you're going to have to do something different if you want different results. So if everything I said is completely contrary to everything you've ever heard, then you should actually be really excited about that, because that tells you there's something here for you. That tells you that there's things that you don't even know that you don't know, and that there are answers. And you've just been told the wrong things, and you need to learn what actually works. So the only diet, so this is the other aspect of what you're going to learn today, is that the only diet you need to adopt to lose weight isn't actually a diet. Okay? And so we'll get into that. All right, so this training is going to be perfect for you, as well as everything that I put out in the Delish Diet program and the Delish Undiet School. So if you're just new to me and you haven't been here before, I have the name brand of my brand is Delish Diet. Okay. What I'm telling you about here is everything you need to know to get mentally prepared to be in the right mindset to actually be able to lose weight permanently. So it's a lot of mindset. The Delish Undiet School is one of the programs that I offer to help you to do that. So this is the perfect training for you in particular, and the Delish Undiet School itself, if you're turned off by diet culture and its value systems. You're done with diets, but you still want to lose weight, right? Like, have you ever been in that situation before? Like, I know I have. When I was at that place of futility, I was like, I'm not going to go into the gym. I'm not going to starve myself. I'm not going to count calories. Forget any of that. But I still wanted to lose weight. So I wanted to know the truth. And I had to actually seek hard for it, even after being a nutritionist and being in nutrition school. Like, it wasn't like obvious. Okay. Like, even holistic perspectives are not really holistic. They don't really get it. So I had to search deep. It's becoming more and more available right now, the truth about weight loss, but it's definitely not mainstream. Okay, but this is back in like, I was 36, right? So it's like, I'm like, so 7 years ago, right? I'm 43 now. Back then, it wasn't as readily available. The science wasn't even up to speed. You know, everybody still just thought everything was about calories. And now, you know, a lot of people still believe that. Okay, so you're seeking answers for your weight woes, and you're looking for something with depth. So you're actually like a seeker, right? Like you're looking to find the truth, and you want something that has the depth that's a match to who you are, because you're looking for a permanent lifestyle change. You're not looking for a quick fix that's only going to work temporarily. Okay, so you're ready to make that switch from focusing on the scale to actually focusing on your health. Okay, so you need to focus on your health first, and then the scale changes as a result of that. And that's one of the opposites of what we're taught in this culture. It's like people all think they need to lose weight to get healthy, and that's total bullshit. That's not going to get you healthy at all. Anybody can lose weight, right? Any diet will work. If you starve yourself, you can lose weight for a time, unless your metabolism is already so damaged, right? Like, for example, what happened to me when I ate almost like just nothing other than this drink with cayenne pepper and maple syrup for 11 days and didn't lose a pound, right? That's because my metabolism was like freaked right out, and it just held back, right? Like it just wouldn't even let me lose any weight. So what you have to do is focus on looking at like what's out of balance, and then what needs to be brought, then focusing on bringing that back into balance. And I'm going to talk about more about this, but basically you lose weight not to get healthy, but you get healthy and then you get to lose weight as a good side effect of that. You want to get back into right relationship with your body and with food. So you're like just not feeling maybe good about your body. Maybe you were like me, up in your head all the time and just like so unaware of what's even happening. Like, you know, you think you're a few pounds overweight, but actually you're obese. Like you don't even know that because you're just not paying attention, and so disconnected to your body. And you're just not getting pleasure from your body, or you're not getting pleasure from food. It's become like, you know, I used to call food the devil when I was a teenager, because I felt like it was the problem. Like it was like basically wrecking my life, because I was addicted to carbs and I couldn't stop myself from eating them. And not only was it causing me to gain weight, but it's causing me to have pimples and like out of control PMS. And it was literally like, I was obsessing over it. It was taking up my whole life, not to mention how terrible you feel after eating food that is bad like that, right? Like it's literally making you sick. And then we're like, oh, moderation is everything. It's like, no, if you're not doing moderation and you're getting these extreme effects of feeling sick from the food you're eating, that is not like, you have to be more extreme about how you approach it. You can't, if you have an addiction to sugar and carbohydrates, you can't have that attitude of moderation. It's just not going to work. You actually have to deal with the root causes to make that less something that you're going to go for, to, you know, to eat your feelings instead of actually dealing with the issues in your life, for example, or doing the work to rewire your brain so that you can actually eat things that are quote unquote not good for you, that are bad for you, in moderation. Sure, if you could eat them in moderation, they wouldn't be bad for you, but that's not the, you know, the issue, right? Like that's just not a thing. People don't eat those foods in moderation when they're sugar addicts. So we have to be more extreme about things. And, you know, there is this whole paradigm of like, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. I don't believe that, even though I called myself a recovering carbohydrate addict, because I still struggle with that, right? So there is truth in it, right? Like if you just do nothing, like if you don't do the work to rewire your brain, then you will always, as soon as you're exposed to that trigger, you will do the same thing, right? So I've managed to create an environment in which it's not triggered very often. My next step personally is to do the work of rewiring my brain. So actually practicing, and I invite you to practice this with me, to actually sit with foods that would normally trigger a binge and actually multiple times sit down to that food and eat it in moderation until I've created a pathway in my brain for that, right? Because it's literally a pathway. So I've got the food, like let's look at one like macaroons, for example. I love Nielsen's macaroons. Like they're just like, that's a trigger for me. If you put that in front of me, I'm going to want to eat a lot of Nielsen macaroons. So therefore I never buy that. But if there is an opportunity for me to do it, it's a weak moment. Say if I'm feeling down and I want a big hit of serotonin so I can feel better about something I don't feel like doing, for example, it will be something that would tempt me for sure. Because I know, oh, if I have a handful of that, I'm just going to feel good. But a handful like becomes like wanting to have 3 handfuls until I feel sick, right? So the practice would be to identify what is moderation. Okay, go get it, not keep it in my house, but go get it, bring it into my house, sit down with it in a meditation, in a mindful way, and really experience it by eating it slowly and pleasurably. And then being done and just experiencing what that feels like in the body until a new pathway is rewired. So I've been doing some research on this, and I'm forgetting the name of the scientist who is actually like at the forefront of this kind of research. But I was watching a YouTube video of an interview with him. And he said from his research, it takes 13 times to rewire that pattern in your brain to relate differently to that thing. So I'm going to be giving it a try, and I invite you to do the same. And please tell me how it goes, because I'm really like, one thing about my approach to health and weight loss and everything is that I'm always looking for ways to advance my own knowledge to bring that back to you. So I'm never like, the Delish Diet Unschool curriculum is completely done, right? Or the Delish Diet book is done, or the Delish Diet approach is done. No, it will always evolve with the latest, most current research. So that is my next frontier of what I'm doing in my own life. And I'm going to be experimenting with that and then bringing it back to you guys as well. So, but for those of you who are early adopters, you just got that intellectually, it makes sense, you want to give it a try, tell us, you know, what happens when you do that. And there's a waitlist Get Thin From Within Facebook group that I'll put the link below the video where you can actually just go in there and be a member of that group for free on Facebook. I would love it if you did the experiment to go in there and tell us if after doing it for 13 times, do you feel like you can just do that instead of binging on that food, that particular food that you normally would, you know, kind of go crazy on. All right, let's see here. So you want so again, the training is perfect for you. So I'm helping to identify like, who are my programs for? Who is this approach for? Because if these things don't resonate with you, there's no point in watching the rest of the webinar, right? It's like not for you. But if these things are things that you're like, oh yeah, that's me, I just want you to know that it's, you know, worth it to stay engaged, because everything that I'm about to teach you next is going to be a good match to your soul and what you need next on your journey. So we want to have a pleasurable approach, that you're actually eating more decadently on your new diet, but we're going to deconstruct that word very soon. That it's more delicious than what you currently eat, right? Like, do you think that I could maintain like the loss of 12 dress sizes for 7 years if what I was doing now wasn't more pleasurable than how I ate before? Are you kidding me? Right? Because willpower doesn't work. People can't do that. It doesn't work. It runs out, right? So there has to be something that pulls you into this new way. And you're going to discover that all of the aspects of it being holistic naturally shift so many things that you transform yourself. And then you become a person who relates differently to food. And you become someone who is more conscious, who has a higher level of health consciousness. And one of my deepest desires for you is to experience more pleasure around food. And all of the delish foods are way more delicious and decadent than the foods I was eating before. There is like literally nothing that I can think of that you couldn't make in a way that is healthier and will support you to lose weight, right? So like we talk about good foods and bad foods. Well, really, when it comes down to it, what classifies a good food or bad food is just really the quality of the ingredients that you use to make it. It's not about, like, a burger is not a bad food. It's the quality of the meat that you choose. It's the quality of what you serve it with. Cake, chocolate, cookies, muffins, whatever you want to eat, donuts, all these things can be made with ingredients that do not cause the hormonal response to cause you to store fat. Okay, so you can eat whatever you want. You just have to learn how to cook and choose differently. It's that simple. Okay, so which is, here comes the next point. You're willing to go in for like an all in for a permanent lifestyle transformation. If you're not willing to do that, then this is just going to be a waste of time like every other diet, right? If you bring your diet mentality to this, you're going to get the same results. So really think about that before you consider whether or not this is for you. You just can't. You can't go back to your old ways and expect to have the same, like, different results than you had before, right? Like, it's just crazy. It's just like, it's insane, illogical. And everybody knows that, right? Like, and we probably, like, you know, if you're doing that, you're probably laughing at yourself right now. Like, yeah, you get it, right? Like, it is ridiculous. But so you have to do something different than you've ever done before. And you have to do something that you're willing to do forever if you want to maintain your results forever, which is why the approach is so, like, scrumptious and decadent and delicious, because it'll call you to want to eat this way instead. Okay, so the next one is that you're inspired by the idea of using your weight loss journey as a catalyst for taking your life to the next level. Yeah, like any challenge that you have in your life, like, you can resist it and it will persist, right? Or you can embrace it and use it as something to transform. So when you transform your health, you transform your body, there are going to be, like, that's going to trickle out into all areas of your life. How you relate to yourself and your body and how you take care of yourself, that is going to impact, like, your relationships. It's going to impact your ability to, you know, make money in your business, or like climb the ladder in your career, or how you parent. I mean, everything, right? Like, it affects how you show up in the world. So you can either, like, just focus on getting skinny, but that's not going to change your life, right? Like, if you have all the same mindsets and like, you know, go like The Biggest Loser, right? You can make yourself, anybody can make themselves skinny. Just, like, do that for a certain amount of time. Okay. But I also encourage you to go watch the after stories of all these people. They've all gained the weight back. And a lot of them are saying that now it's even harder to, like, maintain their old weight because of the damage to their metabolism, right? So you don't want that. What you want is to transform your life. There's inner reasons for why you want to be your ideal health and your ideal weight, and it has more to do with actually creating your dream life. So you can just, like, focus on weight loss, or you can go, I'm going to use my weight loss journey as a catalyst for life transformation. You're a deep woman who loves to learn and grow. Okay. You have to be that kind of person to do this, because you have to want to do the inner work, and you also have to want to study, because you have so much unbrainwashing that has to happen. And because what happens with how we have these programs is they're through repetition, right? So, you know, society told you that eating fat's going to make you fat. Your mom told you that. Your school told you that. I don't know, the diet you went on. They all told you that. And it was repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. So no matter if I tell you and explain to you physiologically why that's not the case, and that's not fat that's going to make you fat, you're just going to keep going back to that. The brain just goes back to that same pathway on automatic pilot when you go unconscious. So you have to actively study and rewire your brain. So you have to be somebody who's not intellectually lazy. Okay. Like this is a thing. People think like, oh, overweight people are lazy. They're not lazy. Okay. But you have to be, a lot of people are intellectually lazy. Like, let's be honest. Okay. You know, people like don't even read books. Like, I don't get that. Like, how are you going to move forward in your life? How are you going to open your mind and eyes to a new world if you're not willing to invest time in learning? Okay. So in my programs, there's a lot of different ways to learn. You know, it's videos like this, it's documents that you can read, it's live trainings. There's multiple ways to learn. And I do my best to incorporate different styles of learning, because I understand that some people, it's not that they're lazy and they don't want to learn. It's just that they've had a bad experience with learning in this culture that everything is like lectures, right? Writing notes and all this kind of thing. And we get an aversion to learning. So if you're not the person, you know, who is naturally like information, like loves information and loves to learn, then just be willing to overcome that mental block, because that's really keeping your world closed down and stopping you from being able to see possibility if you don't love learning. Finally, here's some like archetypes that are like in like sort of explained just like in a nutshell when you hear them, who this approach is best for. So if you're a rebel, right? Like you're not into like being a purist, you don't want to have to like go be a raw vegan and never like touch anything that's like, you know, not perfect, then you're going to like this, right? Because you're going to like the just doing the things that you're being told that you shouldn't do, right? Like it's just going to resonate with you. Because that's everything I tell you to do is practically everything that the diet gurus tell you not to do. If you're a romantic, okay, you like to experience the sensual pleasure of food and the getting in the kitchen and the smells and the taste and the textures and the experience of cooking, okay? And if you're not that, you know, you want to actually get inspired to become that so that you can relate differently to food. Being a hedonist, okay? Somebody who likes pleasure, lots of pleasure, right? All the delicious foods are totally pleasurable. And if you infuse pleasure into all of this, pleasure into learning, pleasure into cooking, pleasure into experiencing your body, then you're gonna, and eating pleasurable foods, obviously, then the whole structure and foundation moving forward of what you're doing is going to call you into the right way of being. And then of course there is the anarchists, right? Those that don't like to, you know, follow authority. To do this, you basically are saying no to authority. Authority tells you things like avoid saturated fat, avoid cholesterol, blah, 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 right? Those so-called health authorities are actually disease organizations. And, you know, they're telling you things like canola oil is the best possible oil for your body. I am sorry, but that canola oil comes from a plant that is actually, when it's not hybridized, it is actually poisonous to human beings. So I don't think that the best oil for a human being to eat is going to come from a plant that is toxic to humans. Like, hello, it's just ridiculous. And and then you've got all these, like, you know, the Heart Health Association telling you that canola oil is the best oil that you could possibly have. I've seen cookbooks by naturopaths that are promoting canola oil, and every recipe has canola oil in it. Okay, so these are examples of, you know, you have to be an anarchist. You have to think outside that box. You have to be self-governing, right? You have to be able to think for yourself to do this. All right. So make sure you stay all the way to the end of the training, because I'm going to share with you how you can start your weight loss journey off on the right foot, reboot your metabolism, and change your weight set point, and be able to lose 15 pounds in 3 weeks without rebound weight gain. Now, the reason I share this is because this is just something that can like get you off to the right start. If you already have a really stuck metabolism, you've been struggling with dieting, for some of you, this will help you get over that first hump that where you would normally quit in the past. Because if you just throw like calorie counting and exercise at a body that is at a set point, that has been created by a body system imbalance, like a health issue, or from a damaged metabolism from like so much dieting, then it's going to be slow, right? Because you have this healing that has to happen first. And I find that for some people, they have a pattern wired up in their brain of if they don't get instant results, they quit. Okay, so I have a approach to doing this that I'll share with you at the end of the webinar, that will give you the confidence to know that you can get some instant results so that you keep going. It's sort of just good for the morale, right? Like to just get some results. It's just exciting. Helps to bypass all that negative chatter that goes on in the head about, because we don't see the invisible changes that are happening inside of our body, and then we think nothing's happening, right? So this just helps to get past that hump. All right. So these are some of the signs that your health is the root cause of your inability to lose weight. So you might be feeling puffy, feeling like you're drying out, and just frumpy. Okay, like when I was 36 years old, I felt frumpy. My skin was drying out. My heels were starting to crack. My skin was like getting like peeling, like getting like almost like dandruff, like in like that people have in their scalp. It was like happening on my skin. And the puffiness is from inflammation, right? Comes from like when you have inflammation in your body actually like holds on to water because it's trying to put the fire of inflammation out in your body. And, you know, a lot of this starts happening to women in their 40s, but for me, it happened earlier. So, and after I made these dietary changes, going from eating this high carb, whole foods, vegetarian, primarily starchy foods diet, where I was puffy, drying out, frumpy, and getting fatter and fatter, to eating a lot of fat and basically, I call it deliciifying all the foods that otherwise I would have, you know, wanted to eat, like bread, etc. I literally just, that stopped happening. Like I literally looked younger after. I had people tell me that I looked 10 years younger. And that's not often what you find. A lot of times when people lose weight on these calorie restriction diets, they actually look older later because they did it by avoiding fats and they didn't get enough calories, they didn't get enough protein, and they literally look like they look sallow, right? Like they don't look younger, they actually look older after they lose weight. And that's on account of not getting really good nutrition. Okay, so you don't have to lose weight and end up with all this like loose skin or like more wrinkles because of it. You can actually like puff up your skin with the good fats and the collagen from the protein. And these are signs of hormonal imbalance as well. Okay, so nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalance, it'll cause you to feel heavy, right? And then exhausted. And then, you know, you just don't, you don't feel like actually taking care of yourself when you feel exhausted, right? Not being able to stop yourself from eating crap and then caving to cravings all the time, right? Because if this is going on, you're going to have hormonal imbalances. This is the sign of hormonal imbalances, these symptoms. Those hormonal imbalances are what are going to be a cause of cravings. So say, for example, you do fine most of the month and it's just before your period, and then you go off track for like at least 2 weeks, carb binging, right? This is like, I'm very familiar with this in my own life. Despite your best intentions to eat healthy, despite being health conscious, your body is going to drive you to make these decisions, right? So these are root causes of why people can't lose weight. So my approach is to go for the root cause. So not just being like, oh, using willpower to stop eating, carbs. We go, okay, well, what is it that is making me like act like a crazy addicted person and go off the rails when I have carbs? What's the underlying cause of that? And then we address that at the level of root cause. And, there's lots of different causes, but, let's go for 3 really quickly. So bacterial imbalance. The bad bacteria in your gut will actually tell you to eat that sugar because it's what they want to survive. So there we go. You've got a physiological reason you're craving sugar. Hormone imbalance. You're premenstrual and your body will cause you to crave carbs before you bleed. Depression. Feeling sad? Well, a great instant way to feel happy, temporarily of course, is to boost your serotonin with carbs. Okay, so these will be internal drives, right? Those are like, and even under those, there's like deeper root causes, right? Like, well, why is a person susceptible to PMS on the energetic level? Or why is a person, what was the third thing I was going to say? Like, what was the third thing? It was like related to something. So, why is a person depressed? Okay. Like what's going on in their life? That's actually the root cause, right? So we want to go deeper and deeper and deeper till we get to root causes. Okay, so the feeling of inflammation, you might have pain in your body, pain in your joints, pain in your muscles, and your stomach is bloated. So even if you're skinny, you feel fat, right? Because your stomach is always sticking out. So these are signs of your health being the actual underlying root cause of not being able to lose weight. So we get healthy, then we lose weight. So instead of feeling those things, you could have smooth digestion and have a flat tummy as a result of that smooth digestion. Bright, sparkly eyes, smooth, clear, and dewy skin, shiny hair, strong nails, a glowing complexion, right? Like these are things like, how would that feel to get up in the morning and just feel light, like free from aches and pains, having good moods, steady energy, more motivation so you can actually get things that are important to you done. Feeling flexible, strong, and actually enjoying being in your body instead of feeling like, disconnected from it or, adverse to it, not wanting to see it, feeling ashamed of it, or, all the different things that go on that we do, the hatred that we actually give our body instead of love. And a lot of people don't want to admit it, especially the kind of people that are attracted to this, right? Because you don't want to identify with those shallow people. So you don't outwardly do that. You don't outwardly talk like that or, talk about going on diets and things like that, but you're still doing it inside your head just for nobody else to see. Okay. I know that I'm a deep person, right? And I do these things. Okay. So just because I don't say them out loud doesn't mean I'm not doing them, but I am saying it. I'm coming out to say that, we all have things that we struggle with, and the journey keeps going of, going deeper into accepting ourselves. And, that's the first step. You accept it and love yourself the way you are, but you don't let it sit there. You don't just be like, go in that place of futility. Not at least the kind of people that I work with, right? Like the kind of people I attract want to optimize their life, want to be the best version of themselves possible. So starting with acceptance and then, and that self-love, and then taking that self-love to the next level and saying like, well, how can I treat myself even better, right? So, if you had all these things, then you'd be free of obsessing about your weight, right? Focus on your passions and like the purpose in your life and the dreams that you want to live. And then of course, actually learning how you can eat pleasurable foods and not gain weight, right? Because everyone's sitting there thinking that they're going to have to give up all their pleasures if they're ever going to maintain weight. I remember when I was a teenager, that's how I thought. I was like, well, I guess I will have to be fat because I have to eat carrots and lettuce and celery to stay skinny. And like, that's not pleasurable, right? That's totally me not knowing what I don't know. At that time, I was ignorant. Okay? And that's a problem. And that's why education and learning is so important. Okay. So to be, do, and have all that, you have to shift your focus from weight to your health. And that's really, really important. If you keep looking at the scale instead of like looking at your health gains, then you're going to go off into that diet mentality of quitting or looking for something new again, right? Those quick fixes. So diets don't result in weight loss. So you'll go and do that, but you're going to end up in the same boat. Actually, you'll end up heavier. That's just what happens. And you've probably experienced it in your own life. So the only permanent results of dieting is rebound weight gain. That's guaranteed, right? You gain back more weight than when you started with. Why? Because your body has certain primal patterns inside of it. One is feasting and famine. So if you famine, you're going to want to feast. So that's how you get the rebound weight gain. Because when you feast, you're feasting after famining. The famine that you were doing was causing your metabolism to slow down. So now now you're eating way more food because you're feasting on a slower metabolism. It's just the physiology of it. Okay, so weight loss is a good side effect of getting healthy, and it's the result of what you have to do to get to that level of health and vitality. You don't lose weight to get healthy. You have to get healthy to lose weight. So what do you say? Should we give dieting the boot? Okay, you can actually lose weight without dieting. In fact, it's what you're going to have to do. You have to drop the idea of dieting forever. Okay? So before we talk about what to do, let's talk first about what not to do. Okay, so the truth is, you are not going to have to do any of the following to lose weight. You're not going to have to count calories, carbs, protein, fat grams. No pills, bars, or shakes, no deprivation, no weighing your food or portion control, no having to eat like a purist, and no exercise, because that is optional. What you eat is going to be way more, make a difference when it comes to your weight. Okay? But let's actually look at what we do need to do. We have to actually start with dismantling this diet mentality, is to actually start by taking back the word diet. Okay, so you don't need to be on a diet, but you have a diet. Think about that for a second. The animals in the wild, if you look at what they eat, they all have a different diet, but they're not on a diet, right? Okay, so you are another species called human species. You have a human species diet, but you do not need to go on a diet. So the word diet comes from the root word dieta, which refers to one's lifestyle and what they eat. You do not need, like, the way that the modern culture thinks of dieting is to say that what dieting means is something you go on temporarily to lose weight. It's something you go on, but you don't need to go on a diet. You just need to be on your natural human diet. It's really, really, when it comes down to it, that simple. Now, of course, there's all these, the only thing that's in your way is lack of knowledge and emotional blocks to doing that. And also addiction. Okay, so those are, like, some of the things that are in the way, and they can all be dealt with. Okay. So we acknowledge that we don't need to go on a diet, but we do have a diet. So when you hear me talk about the Delish diet or the Delish way, that's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to your natural diet as a human species. Okay, so the Delish approach is rooted in holism, and it's grounded in physiology. Okay, so we come at it from the perspective of addressing all aspects of who you are and your life to attain your ideal weight and your ideal health. But it's also backed by physiology. It's not like, I just made this up one day. This is like, it's based on science. It's emerging science. It's cutting edge, leading edge science. So you're not going to get this from your medical doctor. Okay, you're not going to get this from any of the institutions that claim to be health organizations that are actually disease organizations. So you're going to have to be able to think for yourself, right? You're going to have to literally be like, I'm going to use my own knowledge and logic, and I'm going to study so that I know that what I am doing is true and it makes sense. Okay, so we take a four-pronged philosophical approach. So we address the mind, the body, the soul, and the science. Okay? So beginning with the mind. So it's really, really, really important to have mental preparation. Now, of course, because this whole concept of fad dieting, people are always just jumping on the bandwagon, right? Like they don't know why it works, what it does, da da da. They're just like, oh, here's the plan, I'm going to follow it. But what, are they going to eat that exact same plan for like the rest of their life? No. So they're not going to maintain those results. So why waste your time and energy, right? So you need to have mental preparation to go and actually do something different. Because if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then you're not going to stick with it, right? You're going to, as soon as something gets hard or it goes off track, you're just going to be like, what's the next thing I can try? That's the pattern. People do it all the time. Okay, so the other thing is that knowledge, it actually primes your brain for success. So it's like making a projection into the future. You're actually programming your mind. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this, and then this is going to be the results. We focus on getting unbrainwashed. So deprogramming you of some of the diet mentality that's out there that is telling you all the opposite things of what you should actually be doing. And half truths, right? There are some things that they're half true. They're just not in the right context. So they still don't work. Rewiring your brain. So like what I spoke about, that you have to, like, through repetition, you have to create new neuronal pathways for certain things. So if you've been afraid of fat your whole life, you're going to have to, in multiple ways, multiple examples, multiple articles, multiple lectures, like whatever, like lots of different ways of learning why it's not fat that makes you fat. That would be a process of rewiring your brain. Or an example would be my intention to follow along with that, eating the things that I know are triggers for me in a very structured, mindful way, over and over until I can actually just have a pathway for that to do, instead of going on following the old program and doing the old unconscious way of things. And then you need to understand, like it says intellectually, you need to understand how your body works in order to be patient, right? Because the changes that happen inside of you are first, your body prioritizes health. So you might be thinking, oh, I want to lose weight, but your body's like, well, actually, with all this new good changes that you're doing, you have this thing that's going on that you didn't even know that could have become, let's say, a pathology or something, right? Your body's going to prioritize that first over letting go of the physical weight. Okay? So you have to be patient. And if you understand how your body works on the inside, you will have that patience, because no longer are you like in the dark about what's happening. So that's another reason why it's so important to intellectually understand the physiology and know how your body works. Okay? So our approach from the body side of things is to recognize that your weight is a reflection of your health. There's a lot of people who do not want to acknowledge that. They are wanting to say that, oh, you can be 350 pounds and that's normal weight for a person because they're fit, okay? Or because they've accepted that. That's fine. They can be fit and accept that, and their body is still out of balance, or would not be holding on to an extra 250 pounds or 200 pounds of body weight. The body is doing that for a reason. It's trying to get your attention that something isn't right that needs to be addressed. So losing weight does not make you healthy, but getting healthy allows your body to optimize your weight to be a match to that balanced physiology. Okay? So your body is not the sum of its parts. All of the parts are interconnected. So anytime you have an imbalance in one area of the body, it's affecting all the other areas of the body, right? Whereas with Western medicine and Western perspectives, our body is a machine and it has all these different parts and none of them are related to each other. So you might think like, oh, well, I have like a problem with my gallbladder. That has nothing to do with my weight. It has lots of things to do with your weight, right? And every single part of the body, you can look at like what's going on and relate it back to how it's stopping you from being able to lose weight. Believe me, this is something you'll learn in the Delish on Diet School if you decide that this is the path that you want to take. Everything is interconnected. And the beauty of learning about your body like this is you can never like fall prey to being a victim, right? Because you're not just going to go to the doctor and blindly accept the two offerings they have on the table, which is number one, surgery, or number two, drugs. Okay. If you understand your body, you're going to say, well, I get my body, so I just want to understand what is the cause of this. We can find the cause, right? Then we can actually look for a solution. So we want to look at symptoms as our body speaking to us. They're not something to be suppressed. We're not going to shut those symptoms down and ignore them. So extra body fat is a symptom. So in order to do this, we have to take our weight and our health back into our own hands and not be a victim of it, not be like try to pretend that it's not there, ignore it, or make it someone else's fault, or look for someone else to save us, or look for like that magic pill that will fix it, right? Or that magic surgery that will fix it, okay? Because even when people do surgeries, if they do not change their diet and lifestyle, they will gain the weight back, right? Like, get liposuction, go ahead. But if you change nothing, you're just going to create the same reality again. So you need to be the person who says, I've got the power and I'm going to assume the power that I have, and not just succumb to this basically it's like a breakdown of the body, right? Like over time, as people age, typically our society is like, let's just accept that being sick is part of aging. And there's so many things that are common that people think are normal. They're not normal. They may be common, like being overweight is common. That doesn't mean it's normal, okay? Having PMS is common. That doesn't mean it's normal. Having leg cramps, that's common. Doesn't mean it's normal, okay? So our culture likes to normalize pathology, okay? So that you feel like it's just something that you have to live with and there's nothing you can do about it. And you were just born that way. You're the luck of the draw, your gene fired off, and for you, end of story, here's the drug or the surgery. You can't buy into that and also be empowered and take and assume power over your health. Okay, so you want to take your health into your own hands. And then finally, perspective with the body is that exercise is optional, but muscle is recommended. Okay, so you don't need to exercise to lose weight, but if you want to be optionally healthy and have like the ability to tolerate carbohydrates again, you're going to need muscle to do that. It's also essential for proper hormone balance and optimal aging without disease. Okay, and it's something that will go into depth in the Undiet School. So this is something that seems to be missing soul from our food these days, right? Like everybody they're just like eating on the run and people don't eat together anymore. And it's just like food is just like a chore and a bore, right? We've lost the soul of eating. There's a spirit to eating, right? Like it's about connection and love and like pleasure and all that seems to be missing from meals these days. Okay, so with all these diets, you have to count everything, right? But I don't think you should have to be a mathematician to formulate a meal. It's not that complicated. And that's another thing with this society is we seem to love and get all like woohoo about things that sound complicated. The answers are simple. Then anything that's super, super complex is a sign that it's just like some sort of like heady type of thing that's not connected to like what is just intrinsic to us. The brain, again, being up in the head, but likes complex solutions. Okay, so another thing is on the soul level is to like look at emotional eating. It's not a cause. The cause of your weight issues is not emotional eating, okay? Your emotional eating is an effect of a cause in your life. Could be anywhere in your life. It's something that is giving you negative emotions that you're not dealing with. That's the cause, okay? So we have to actually, instead of like beating ourselves up for emotional eating and like trying to create strategies to stop ourselves from doing that or try to use willpower to do it, we actually have to address the things that are causing the emotional eating and use it as the basis of soul work. So when you have that impulse to do it, to stop, and go, okay, what am I trying to suppress right now? And what do I need to do about that? And actually address the issue. Okay, so we want to digest and eliminate and release our feelings rather than eat them. So the final part of it is that, you know, you've probably heard in society people say like that we shouldn't live to eat, that we should eat to live, or that we should just eat for fuel, etc. Okay, I think there's more to it than that. There's truth in all of those things. We should do all those things, but we should also eat for the capacity to expand our pleasure and connection. That is what like eating is meant to, you're meant to experience pleasure and connection with others. Okay, but at the same time, we're not going to eat as a substitute for pleasure and connection. It should be a part of expanding our capacity, but not replacing it. All right, the science. So the Delish diet approach is not a point system. It's not a fad diet. It's not even a therapeutic diet, like say keto, for example. Although it, like a lot of people's symptoms just magically go away that they're not even focusing on when they start eating this way. So it does actually have therapeutic effects, but it's not designed therapeutically to treat one thing. Like say, like I said, the keto diet, for example, which was designed to help children with epilepsy, right? Is not designed to lose for weight loss. Or gut healing diets, for example, they'll all cause you to lose weight, but they're not like a permanent lifestyle that you do forever. They're a transient thing that you do to bring your body back into balance. And if you're truly healed, you should be able to eat in a moderate, natural human way without all these intensive restrictions. Okay, it's not a methodology. Okay? It is based on leading edge science and weight loss physiology. That's it. Okay? When you understand how your body works physiologically to store fat and burn fat, it becomes very apparent about what you should be eating and what you shouldn't be eating if your goal is to lose weight and be healthy. Okay? So like I said earlier in this training is that the Delish approach evolves as the latest knowledge in the field does. So, you know, if you follow me, you're going to notice that, you know, maybe like, I don't even know how often, because it depends on how often, you know, the science advances. But the more we know, the more we grow, right? And I'm so excited for more information to be available to us that will help us to get a higher level of health with the good side effect of losing weight. So you can always trust that if you're following me, that I'm always going to bring you the latest thing. And if I feel like something that I have been recommending is not true, I will change my perspective on it. And I will tell you. I'll give you an example. I was a vegetarian for 13 years. And if you would have worked with me then, I would have been like, oh my God, everybody needs to be a vegetarian to be healthy, right? Because that's what I believed. And as soon as I had the evidence for that not being the truth, I changed my position on it. So you can trust me and count on me to remain open-minded and to continue to bring you the latest wisdom. And also understand that, you know, even though what I'm sharing with you is the basis of the Delish Undiet School, and some of you have negative connotations with school, that everything that we teach is distilled down so that it's easy to understand, and it's delivered in multiple formats, and then it's also taught in a way that allows you to understand how to implement it, right? So it's not just about the knowledge, but how do you take what you know and implement it so that it becomes wisdom and embodied in your life. So before we look at what works for weight loss permanently, let's take a quick peek at what doesn't work. Okay, so again, diets are by design for temporary weight loss. People cannot stay on them because they're in direct opposition to our nature, right? We have certain things that are programmed into our physiology that if we starve ourselves or restrict calories will cause us to feast and binge. Willpower always runs out, right? Can't hold on to that for very long. It damages our metabolism, causes rebound weight gain. And instead of trying to lose weight, now we have to diet to just maintain and not get heavier. Okay, so all those things, counting calories, restricting, deprivation, exercising excessively, all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't work. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so what also doesn't work is looking for a quick fix. So we really have to stop that. Just like, stop it. If you feel yourself doing that, like constantly looking for a new diet instead of asking, like, what does the physiology say about weight loss? Like, it's just easy. You just go back to, how does the body work? Okay. And whatever you're doing has to be a match to that if you're going to get results. It has to be a match to a higher level of health as well for those results to stay permanently. Okay, so instead of looking for a quick fix, you have to do something different that includes a permanent lifestyle change. And that something different must be something you'd want to do for life. If it's not more pleasurable than what you're currently doing, then no, you're not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. Everybody likes chips and cake and cookies and all these things, right? And especially if you have the carb addiction, like, you're going to need something that will actually replace that while you're doing the inner work and changing your physiology so that you no longer crave those things. Okay. In the Delish diet, we have lots of solutions for that. We don't just like leave you to willpower. Okay. We have ways to help you get through and past those phases of cravings until your body doesn't do that anymore. Because once the body is healed, it actually, your inner animal actually starts wanting to eat its natural diet. It doesn't want to eat that crap anymore. Okay, that's the beauty of it. Then you don't have to fight with yourself. Okay, so you can't expect to do something temporarily and then expect permanent results. We talked about that already. That's illogical and insane. And you can't not change stuff and then think that you like expect things to change, right? Like, how can you expect to do nothing different, not change, but have everything change? So you're going to have to decide right now that you're willing to change. You have to literally step into your life in a different way if things are going to change. Okay, so we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So if you would like to be insane and have the same results of temporary weight loss, then go on a diet. If you would like to have permanent results and get healthier at the same time and up-level your life in the process, then you'll want to keep watching. Okay, so we're going to stop being insane now. And we're actually going to, instead of doing quick fixes, fad diets, temporary, solutions, we're going to actually look at the root causes of weight gain. So I call these weight loss blocks. They're things that stand in your way of attaining your ideal weight. And they're things that we address in the Delish Diet Unschool. So they can be physiological. Just under that, there's different body system imbalances that will cause a person to be susceptible to weight gain and not be able to lose it. Nutritional, you have certain nutrients that you're missing in your diet or you're having trouble absorbing because of poor digestion, etc. And you will literally be that will slow your metabolism down. It'll make all those problems with your health worse, and it will cause cravings. And you won't be able to fight them because they're not even driven by your personality. They're driven literally by your body. Educational, right? Like just not doing the right things, having learned the wrong things and just not knowing what to do. Environment, right? Like who's around you? What is your environment like? Is your kitchen full of like junk food and processed food? Of course, you're not going to be able to like permanently lose weight in the face of that and not change your lifestyle and your health consciousness. It can be emotional, right? You literally could be embodying all this fat as a form of protection or as emotional weight, right? Hormonal. If you have hormone imbalances, then that is just going to drive up everything out of control. First your insulin, then your cortisol, or starting with your cortisol, and then your insulin, and then you store fat. Right? Mindset. just having a negative mindset, not having health consciousness, having the diet mentality, thinking negatively instead of looking for solutions and actually taking action on them, and just not thinking in the right way, having erroneous beliefs that are untrue. Relational. Maybe you have someone in your life who doesn't support you, doesn't want to see you become a more empowered version of yourself because that threatens them. Or because they feel like they're not going to enjoy being with you if you don't eat potato chips and watch TV all night, right? Like these are literal things. Socioeconomic. Maybe money is the issue, right? Like if you can't afford quality food, then the root cause is your money issues that need to be dealt with. Okay? Addiction issues, cover that quite a bit. And there's more, right? Like every individual is different. But the point is that food is not the only cause of people's extra body fat. Okay? So I'm going to be going through the 4 principles of actually what you need to do to lose weight permanently. So the first thing is rehumanizing yourself. Okay? So I touched on this already. You don't go on a diet, you come back to your natural diet as a human. Okay? So getting back into right relationship with food. So eating the natural diet of your species. Okay, so you don't go on a diet, but you have a diet and you have a natural habitat. Okay, and so there's a whole bunch of things that we're doing in modern society that are not healthy for a human, to like environments, etc., to live in. And obviously in the time we have here, I can't go into that. But you know, in the program, I'll teach you what those things are. And I'm not saying that you're going to have to go live on the land in a hut. Okay, these are practical things that you can do. You actually don't have to, you know, go live out off grid on the land. Although if that's what you want to do, that's awesome. That's something I'd love to do. Okay, so eating is meant to be a community experience that fosters connection. So what is your connection to food right now? What's your experience of eating? Is there any connection or community involved in your eating? Okay, so using food as a vehicle for that connection instead of a substitute for it. Okay, it's probably one of the reasons why people sit in front of the TV, because they're getting their connection by observing actors pretend to be connected to the other characters. It's like ridiculous. It's like a simulation of something we're just not getting. We're going to the TV and the social media and Netflix and all that kind of stuff to get it. Okay, so like every other addiction, food addiction stems from a lack of connection. So really considering, like, where is the lack in there in terms of relationships? Not just your relationship with food, but your relationships in general. And why is food being used as a replacement for that? And what do you need to do to change that, right? Root cause. Principle number 2. I love this one. I love this one, okay? The diet gurus are telling you to eat less and move more. That was a terrible idea. That's the perfect way to slow down your metabolism. Perfect way, okay? But if you want to actually speed up your metabolism and let your body go into a healing state so you can lose weight, you need to eat more and you need to stress less, okay? So here's something. Think about it. You know some naturally skinny people in your life, skinny people. They don't count calories and they don't exercise and they're still thin. Interesting. So if they don't have to, you don't either, okay? And the root cause of excess weight is not calories. Like I've mentioned before, it's a hormonal issue. Your body does not have any calorie receptor sites or any way of counting calories. Like, I challenge you to find some sort of physiological organ that counts calories. Let me know about it. Because as far as anybody's ever known up to this point, at the timing of this webinar, there is no apparatus in the body that counts calories. Okay. It's not the quantity of the calories, it's the quality of the calories, okay? The quality of the calories that you choose, so this, the food that the calories come from, the quality of that food is what actually creates hormonal, like a hormonal response to either store fat or break it down. So it's quality, not quantity. Okay? And overeating is actually an effect of being overweight. It's not the cause of being overweight. When you are undernourished, you overeat. So the problem is not that you're eating too much. The problem is you're not eating enough nutrients. You're not nourished. So you're undernourished and overfed. So overfeeding is not the cause. Undernourishing is the cause. Okay, so undernourishment causes overeating. And at the end of the day, there are certain foods with their impact on your hormones that when you eat them, they don't even let you overeat. Okay, it's only carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates especially, that will get you eating and never feeling full because of the hormonal responses that they have in the body. Again, something for the Delish on Diet School. I don't have time to get into in this webinar. Okay, so the causes of weight gain are multifactorial. I'm sure you get that by now because we talked about so many of them. But two major overlooked causes are nutritional deficiency, which I just covered, and stress. Okay? So when you have too much chronic stress, it raises your cortisol, and that stimulates insulin, your fat storage hormone. Okay, so you can be not eating any differently. You can eat the exact same amount of calories as you did 1 month ago and go into a state of chronic stress and start gaining weight with not changing your diet because of the hormonal impact of insulin that's triggered by stress. Okay, so what you actually need to do is to eat more nutrient-dense foods and actually address the chronic stresses in your life instead of ignoring, suppressing them, or eating your feelings around them to cope. Principle number 3, getting thin from within. So being skinny is not going to change your life, but dropping the emotional weight will. And this is one of the ways of dealing with the chronic stresses. Okay, so you need to transform yourself from the inside out. So we've talked a lot about the physiology. That's an inside thing that we do, right? Like we heal our body on the inside, and as a result of that, on the outside, we start to release the weight. Okay, but there's other things on the inside, right? That are emotional weight that we want to lose as well. And that is going to be life transforming, right? Because if you carry all this emotional weight, but you're skinny, that means you have the same mindset, the same emotional pain, the same chronic stresses, and your life is still miserable. You're just skinny. You're skinny and miserable, right? So we want to drop what's draining us. So looking at all of your life and like, what are you losing energy to? And identify those things and systematically eliminate every single one of them from your life. We want to use stress homeopathically. So the concept of homeopathy is like cures like. So how do you heal stress? How do you heal chronic stress? You take on acute stresses. Because every single chronic stress you have in your life, what's standing in the way of you letting that chronic stress go and not be a part of your life anymore is an acute stress that you are too afraid to face. That's it. Okay. So cultivating that courage to step up and literally face that acute stress so you can eliminate the chronic stresses. Identifying your emotional baggage and drop it. So there may be some things that are not like in your face stressful, but they're things unhealed from the past or traumas. They're like imagine that if you were a computer program, these are programs running in the background. They're like windows open or viruses, right? Like going on, slowing your computer down. This is what's happening in your life with all this emotional baggage and trauma. Okay, so you want to identify those things, systematically eliminate them through inner work. Okay, and again, and welcoming emotional eating as an opportunity to do your inner work instead of trying to suppress it in some way or control it. Okay, so using it as a catalyst. Okay, principle number 4, transformation. If you want permanent results, you're going to have to permanently transform. Okay, so you're going to have to change your lifestyle. You're going to have to accept that it's not just about your diet. You're not just going to do a diet plan temporarily and focus on food. You're going to have to change your entire lifestyle and do all the inner work. So number one, you have to stop settling. There's a whole bunch of shit in your life that you're settling for right now that is just not up to your standards of how you would like to live your dream life. And this needs to change. So you have to raise your standards in all areas of your life. Okay? Specifically food to get started. Okay, that's a major issue. If you have low standards around food choices, there's no way that you're going to attain health and maintain it for life. You're literally going to have to raise your standards in that area. Decide that this is it. Okay? Decide you're going to raise your health consciousness now and be willing to do whatever it takes to do that. Okay? When you do this, you stop settling, you raise your standards, you decide this is it, and you're willing to do whatever it takes, you're going to believe in yourself to be able to like design your dream life, essentially. Okay? So this other version of you that is not feeling optimal, that doesn't feel energetic, that doesn't feel motivated, that doesn't feel good about how they look, that doesn't feel good in their body, is not going to be a person who designs their dream life. That's going to be a person who settles, right? So you can, like I said, get skinny temporarily, or you can use your weight loss journey as a catalyst for life transformation and recreate yourself, recreate your life by using this one challenge in your life, your weight, as a catalyst for that. And then of course you're going to have to live this lifestyle permanently, and you're going to have to keep coming back to this, because as you stop settling and you raise your standards in life and you create your dream life, well, that's not the end of your life. You're going to have new, higher standards and more things you want to create, right? And you're going to have to keep stepping more empowered into all these next steps. And this is the path to do that. Okay. So I promised you at the beginning that I was going to give you a tip of how you can lose weight quickly so that you have that feeling of momentum and excitement moving forward. And that is it's called the Delish Diet Deep Cleanse. Okay, it's a program that I originally developed. Remember in the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned that one of my credentials is being a gut health practitioner, a GAPS diet practitioner, and that was the focus of my nutrition practice before I ever got into weight loss. And the beauty of it that I saw is that all my clients, when they would work on healing their gut, even though that was their focus, because they had all these food sensitivities and rashes and all these problems to do with eating food, we would be focused on that, like healing their gut. And then they would always lose 15 pounds in 3 weeks, right? Because that's about what it takes when you like literally eliminate the inflammation in your body, and your body will suddenly go, okay, awesome, we can finally go into healing mode. That's what we were trying to do the whole time. So the beauty of this program is, this is part of the Delish Diet Unschool, is that it is an opportunity for you to elevate yourself into a higher level of health. It gets you past that plateau that you may have been stuck at for a long time. It makes you healthier than you've ever been. So unlike calorie restriction, deprivation diets, you're actually eating more food than ever, and you're becoming deeply nourished. Okay? It's just that you're eating really nutrient-dense foods and deeply nourishing your cells. So it's giving you that nourishment that stops cravings. It eliminates the inflammation that causes puffiness and water and stops you from being able to lose weight, resets your weight to a lower set point, which is what you want to do. Because otherwise, if you don't change your health, then if you get that weight off really quickly, because you haven't changed anything in your body internally, your set point is still at that higher weight. That's why the minute you don't keep following the diet, you go boom back and then worse, right? Whereas if you become healthier, if you literally shake up your body on the inside and change it and transform it on the inside, it's not going to go back to that old weight. That's no longer your set point, because you have raised your level of health. Okay? It gives you those quick results that jumpstart the journey for you and give you that like momentum that helps you get going and get excited to keep going. And part of the cleanse is to look at not just your physical weight, but your emotional weight and all the stuff that's draining you. So this part of the program is not just about the body cleanse, like the deep cleanse of the body, but it's the deep cleanse of the whole life, right? So looking around your environment, what needs to be cleaned, what needs to be eliminated from your life, identifying those chronic stresses, etc. It's the perfect time to do it. Like, you can look at doing a cleanse as like a spiritual journey rather than thinking of it as just something you're doing for your body. You're doing it for your whole entire life. And I find that very, very empowering personally. And it's something that you can do every time you hit a plateau, or anytime you just want to like speed up your weight loss, or anytime that you just feel like you want to rejuvenate, preferably like with every season change. Okay, and that's, you know, seasonal rejuvenation is literally, instead of as you age becoming old and like sick and like, you know, miserable like a lot of people do, instead you're actually cultivating greater health as you age. Okay, and greater radiance and beauty. Okay, that is possible, right? Like, it's something that our society, again, this is another example of things that are common but not natural. Okay, to get sick and start to have your body break down and stuff like that. It's very common, but it's not natural. But it doesn't naturally occur, like greater levels of health as you age. That has to be cultivated. You have to cultivate it. And this is one of the ways of doing that. Okay, so if you enjoyed this webinar and this resonates with you, and this is the kind of journey that you want to take to lose the weight, to transform yourself from the inside out, and to use your weight loss journey as a catalyst for life transformation, then I invite you to just look beneath this video, and there's a button there to book a session with me. And we're going to look at your unique situation and uncover your next steps for attaining optimal health and your ideal weight. So if that resonates with you, everything that I covered in this webinar, and you want to learn more, then again, I welcome you to book a Lose Weight Without Dieting Break Free session. All right, thanks for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you.